Hello everybody, Senior Engineer MBA, an investor, and in today's video I want to take a look at this article basically titled "A More Elegant Form of Genome Editing Progresses to Human Testing." Of course, this is published on Wired.com, which obviously is a well-known internet publisher of articles specifically in science, and this is not the first time we've addressed Wired.com article. And the subtitle of this article goes, "Instead of cutting out chunks of genome to disable malfunctioning genes, base editing makes a smaller, more precise swap." I'll give my thoughts here on this article as we go through it, but let's go through it and let's see what we can extract from this. And by the way, I got this article from a retweet from the Dr. Sek, basically CEO of Verve Therapeutics, and of course you would expect someone from Verve Therapeutics to promote base editing for obvious reasons. Of course, I'm referencing to the technology that they've licensed from Beam Therapeutics. So in April 2016 there was a paper, and it was obviously titled as "DNA base editing." It was published by Dr. Liu's lab, Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, described as CRISPR genome that allowed more precise changes than ever before. It seemed like science fiction had arrived. I would argue that just CRISPR-Cas9 is science fiction has arrived, but hey, let's go through this article. Genetic code of every living thing is made up of string composed of four chemical ACGT. These pair to form double helix structure of DNA. Traditional CRISPR and previous genome editing methods work by cutting DNA double-stranded helix in order to knock out a disease-causing gene. For example, base editing on the other hand simply swaps one chemical base for another in order to correct a mutation or disable a gene. The first base editor that Dr. Liu's lab described converted C to T, and others have been invented since. And now, fast forwarding here in the article, they talked about a 13-year-old girl named Elisa that we've covered this week. Of course, this was an amazing story. And of course, Elisa has been potentially cured from cancer, leukemia, through T-cell there. And of course, this was based on base editors, CRISPR base editors. So really happy about that. It was breaking news. And of course, we have a good example. And of course, this article, which was published today, is based on that news, of course. Early days of base editing. This is a very important point. And we go through the article here, and Dr. Sek, their CEO of Verve Therapeutics, says the company chose its base editing over classic CRISPR after comparing the two approaches in mice, monkeys, and human cells in the lab. And in 2021 paper, scientists at Verve and University of Pennsylvania found the monkeys, again, it's monkeys, not in humans, base editing was able to disable a gene called PCSK9 in the liver, shutting down the production of low-density lipoprotein, or LDL. And high level of LDL, also known as bad cholesterol, raises the risk of heart disease and stroke. And infusion of base editing lowered the PCSK9 protein by 90% and LDL levels by 60%, which obviously is amazing results, right? Again, on monkeys. And that was in 2021, so nothing new here in this sense. For now, the company is focusing on New Zealand. Of course, we saw what happened in the US with the FDA, although it is expected for the FDA to approve Verve 101 in the country. But of course, New Zealand and in the UK, they're going forward with Verve. And now there's a mention of Beam Therapeutics. Has gotten a green light from the FDA to go over a trial testing base editing with sickle cell anemia. Okay. But the company faced a question with temporary hold from the FDA when it proposed a second trial for the Beam 201. And we see here that the agency has lifted the Beam trial earlier this month, allowing the trial to move forward. So this is, again, something we covered earlier this month. The FDA gave the green light again on Beam 201. Still put it on a few months hold. That is valuable time. Make no mistake, it's not just a few months. This is serious. I mean, in the long grand scheme of things, it may not matter that much, but for a size of a company as Beam Therapeutics and where we are right now with CRISPR, it absolutely matters. It absolutely matters in terms of reputation. It matters on your bottom line, top line, revenues. It really does matter, right? Especially when you don't have a approved CRISPR drug. But once trials get underway, 2023 could be the year for base editing that joins CRISPR at an avant-garde of genome editing. So I would argue that base editing has been popular well before 2023, but of course with the clinical trials going forward from Verve, and of course with Beam Therapeutics soon, base editing will absolutely see the light in the tunnel there in 2023 in terms of really solidifying itself as a technology, as a premium technology in the CRISPR space. Now, what I disagree with this article is that it never mentioned CRISPR-Cas9, it never mentioned CRISPR-Cas12, for example, it never mentioned in vivo, ex vivo from companies like CRISPR Therapeutics, or of course NTLA, or even, Chardonnay's DNA technology from Caribou. I think they really focus on base editing, and they sort of bundle base editing, and then they compare it with everything else every other company is doing as, let's take a look, instead of cutting out chunks of genome to disable. So what I'm getting at is I think this article does a good job to promote base editing. It does a really good job talking about the landscape and where we are and where we're going in 2023. What it sort of omits is the importance of other companies with their programs, although they're not doing base editing. They're still doing extremely valuable work, whether that's CRISPR Therapeutics with CTX001, whether that's NTLA with NTLA 2001, whether that's NTLA with NTLA 2002, whether that's Caribou with CBO10, and of course other companies, of course Graphite Bio with their own programs, Editas, although they're all over the place, they have their own programs as well. The point I'm making is I think base editing is here to stay. I think base editors are definitely valuable. There's a reason why every company such as NTLA and CRISPR Therapeutics are exploring that. But there's also a reason why they're sticking their guns with CRISPR Therapeutics with Cas9 ex vivo or NTLA with Cas9 in vivo, right? Because we still don't have CRISPR-based therapy approved, and I think the goal here for these companies, get it out the door, get it commercial, get it in the hands of patients, get some patients cured in the US at least, and get it out there as a mainstream, right? It's a little bit early to start promoting base editing to a point where it is going to be the de facto technology when CRISPR as a whole is not even proven in the eyes of the FDA. Now, between me and you watching this channel, this is very obvious. I really think CRISPR is here to stay, whether that's CRISPR-Cas9, the first generation, whether that's the second generation base editing, or whether that's the third generation prime editors. But the point I'm making is that you have to see this as a step-by-step. Let's not, there's an expressing saying, let's not count the chickens before the eggs crack or something. There's an expression there, right? So let's take this step by step. Let's get CTX001 FDA approved. Let's see where NTLA goes with their two successful programs in 2023. Let's see how these companies perform. Let's see how Caribou is doing with their CAR T cell program with CBO10. Let's get data from Verve 101 in the US. Let's get data from, of course, Beam 101. And then we can sort of start talking about how valuable base editing is compared to CRISPR-Cas9, the first generation, for example. I think it's way too early to start, making these comments. Now, we have promising results. Make no mistake, the data that we got from the monkeys in 2021 from the Nature article, that's absolutely valuable. The story we've had covered this week from Alisa, an amazing story, right? Amazing story, being potentially cured with base editing. It's an amazing story, right? Something to be happy, proud of. And look, I'm an investor, Beam Therapeutics, right? It's all in my incentives to promote base editing. But at the same time, it will be disingenuous for me to start saying that, there's base editing, then there's everything else. That's not how it works. CRISPR is not here right now. Maybe in 5, 6, 7 years we'll get to that point, but by then we need these companies out with their programs, commercial, make profits, go forward, deploy more programs, invest in more resources. That's how I see things. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys having a beautiful Friday. Vacation started for my day job. I know some of you vacation started as well. It's snowy here. It's rainy. I don't even know if it's snowy or rainy. Maybe both. It's cold in Montreal. Wherever you are, hopefully you are having a better time than I am here in Montreal. But of course, I am with family, friends, and that is what matters, right? So thank you so much for watching, guys. Like this video if you found value. Subscribe if you're not. And let me know in the comments below, where do you think we are with base editing? I'll see you guys over the weekend. Thank you.